What group of people would you say walk into the gym and actually are tough? There are a lot of people who think they're tough. Maybe cops think they're tough. Maybe army guys think they're tough. Who walks in and is tough?
You mean other than me?
Yes.
No. Fucking. I don't know if there's like a type is the issue. Like army guys, they have that like ego where they're like, I was in the army, I was in the Marines, I don't give up. So it's like, all right, they can. Sometimes it can be a bad thing because you're just trying to like flow roll, and they're like, no, I have to kill him. I'm back in Fallujah now.
Army guys have cardio, is my experience.
Yeah, that is yeah. They tend to be in better shape overall, especially like the sooner it's been since they got out. But yeah, like I guess army guys are they can be on the tougher side. The thing is, like, people think like army guys and just the military in general, it's like, oh dude, they know all this, like they know all these ways to kill you. It's like, no, they squeeze triggers. That's your job, is to just squeeze a trigger, shoot the guy who's wearing a towel on his head. Soon it'll probably be the Cyrillic speaking dude. But
I've seen both sides of that on the army guy. I've seen some who say what you just did, like, oh no, hand-to-hand combat, like if that were to ever happen, something went horribly wrong. That's not what we train for. And then I saw another guy who thought he would be badass. He did have great cardio, but he just lost to everybody until he ran and they started roughing up a girl, and he could beat her. But it was like everyone hated. So the instructor was like, okay, break this up. And then he rolled with the instructor, who just did like takedown practice on him.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, those places, that sounds mean.
Scott, have you ever had to do that? Have you ever had to, as the instructor, step in and be like, hey, Johnny, you're going a little hard there. How about you and I pair off?
Yeah, have you done that?
Actually, no. But the issue that arises is like, I get people who they don't know what sparring really is. So they think like, oh, like I got to go hard because I want to be able to hit him. And it's like, of course, I'm going to sound like an asshole saying this. It's like, you're going to lose to me. That's just what's going to happen. Just lose to me. Right? Like if you get a good shot in and you earn it, that's good. Fantastic. That means you're getting better. But like, I've been doing this for a long time. If I'm going 30% and you go 70, like, yeah, you're going to beat me up because I'm being nice, and that's the issue that I face. Typically when it's like two students of mine, they're like, oh, let's go nice and light, nice and easy. But it's because they think, oh, I don't need that much to try and like actually hit this guy to actually beat him. But when they go with me, they're like, oh, let's go. And it's like, oh, dude, like, I got work tomorrow. I don't want to get hurt, man. Easy.
I have a question, because you always see it in movies mostly, but with the advent of cell phone cameras, I've seen it more and more on YouTube, and it's fucking hilarious. Have you ever seen someone walk into the gym and challenge like the guy? Like whoever, like who's the badass here? Who's the teacher here? I do Cobra Kai ninjutsu, and I say that Brazilian jiu-jitsu is bullshit. Who stands for jiu-jitsu in this gym? Like, have you ever seen anyone do a gym challenge?
I haven't seen that exactly. Probably the worst thing that I've seen is there was a guy, he was clearly, I don't know if he was just really high on weed or if he had some kind of like low grade opiate thing going on. He walked in, he just had that look of just like a gangbanger, but not like it's hard to actually, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but anyway.
God damn.
He walked in and he's like, who's the all right, I'm not gonna make it worse, but
do the accent.
All right. He walked in and he was like, yo, who the coach around here? And I was like, oh, well, that's me right now, because it just happened to be a day that I was coaching. And he's like, yo, you coach? Yo, I'm trying to like, throw some gloves on, go a couple rounds. And I'm just like, oh, that's not how we do things here. And he's just kind of like, oh, and he just like left. Like,
that was his foray into MMA. being like, I'm going to go in, challenge someone, and if they don't immediately indulge me, this isn't the life for me.
Wasn't meant to be, yo.
It's like me walking into the DMV and being like, do you want my taxes? No? Well, then see ya. Like, just leave as if that's not.
One
I
time
love those videos on
I
YouTube.
went to another gym, and I'm not challenging anyone. That's not me. What the reality was is I was like a 6 or a 9 month white belt at the time, like somewhere in that. So I, do the basic escapes and some of the simplest chokes, but I wasn't anybody formidable. And I'm addicted to jiu-jitsu. It's like it's becoming like my personality. I'm going to bed reading fucking Gracie books to sleep and shit like that. So I had to go on a work trip. And I was like, well, I don't want to miss whatever it is, 10 days of training. So I asked my instructor for some gym recommendations, and I went out there and just like, hey, can I train with you guys? I'm on a work trip. And they said, yes, cool. So, I just do if people don't know, jiu-jitsu classes usually break into like an hour or two of like form type roles where they show you something new and step-by-step instructions. And then after that, you get to roll. So it got to the rolling part, and I'm all excited. Like, all right, I'm going to see, where I stand amongst these people. And this guy was a higher belt. He was a blue belt, but I'm going to say he was a good blue belt and much better than me. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but I do remember thinking, all right, this isn't what I hoped for, but I'm not in danger right now. But I was. And he puts this like gi choke on me where he used his clothing to choke me. And it must have happened fast, because before I know it, I'm choked out. I'm unconscious. And I don't know this until later, but the instructor comes over, having seen my head in a really awkward angle, and tells the guy to stop murdering me. And I come to, and I was like, all right. And I get right back into it. But unbeknownst to me, I grab the instructor's leg and I start trying to take him down. And then I had this stupid fucking thought. Like, I saw his black belt, and I like half understood that people changed, but I was hoping maybe I was the only guy that noticed my opponent swapped. When in reality, the whole gym stopped and started watching the Woody's Unconscious show. And
you're like, no wonder this is going poorly. This guy's a black belt. I'm doing pretty good, actually.
So the instructor like one-handedly defends my takedown until I think better of it. And
did you go back the second night?
I tried to keep going that night. I was like, they're like, oh, why don't you take a seat by the wall or something? And I'm like, no, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. And they're like, you're not going anywhere. Go take a seat by the wall. And that's when like the headache hit. And it actually was kind of a bad scene. I drove back to the hotel that night, and I don't think I was
good to drive
many steps above like an intoxicated driver. Like all the lights were shining at me.
Oh yeah, that's a good concussion.
And and I had a burning headache. And when I got back to the hotel safely and laid in bed, it was like, I made it. It's
Does choking out give you a concussion?
No,
I didn't mean
maybe something else though. Is some sort of headache and disorientation. I think I got choked out a little better than most people do.
Why would
what you don't realize is the black belt started raining punches down.
He could have. I don't know. Might be part of the story. I don't know.
Woody's like, man, my weak opponent's got his blood all over me.
Did you go back for another night of that though?
At the same place, you mean?
Because frankly, like I don't want. Like I'd have been like, well, I'm not going back. They're gonna point at me when I walk in, and be like, that's the guy Mikey choked out. Yeah, we wiped up the pee before he woke.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to make a decision not to go back. I will never walk into that Domino's not too far from my house and pick up another pizza, because I did that like 3 years ago, sad one random afternoon when I was off work early, and I was like, I'm just gonna eat a whole pizza by myself. I stopped and went into this walk-in Domino's, and immediately the bearded guy behind the fucking counter was like, yo, Taylor from PKA? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just having I'm just having a get together with friends at Tuesday at 3:48 p.m. Just go ahead and whip. Oh, you don't have a pepperoni ready? Then I'll sit in your chair of shame here, right near the and stay out of the way of the delivery drivers coming in and out. Yeah, cheese works. You just be
sure
quick,
it's
man.
Really cold. Yeah, I like it that way.
Yeah, just like no rush.
me
But
get
like if
outta
it's
here.
not in the next 3 minutes, I might openly cry. Like, that was so. Yeah, I'll never walk back there because I was humiliated. So I would have done the same thing.
I remember I went to another gym, but that was the plan anyway. That I had intended to
Fair.
I know about these schools. I'm finally out in California where
Mhm.
at the time anyway, jits was like more highly regarded than North Carolina jits.
What's the worst injury you've seen while teaching, Scott?
Actually not while teaching. One injury was mine. It was my first MMA fight. I threw a kick and I straight up kicked wrong and I dislocated my knee. I walked around on that for like 3 months and I popped it back in. Right. It was like 3 months. It was probably like a month and a half, 2 months. It's been 10 years since that. The other one though, the worst one, there was this girl. The black belt we had at the time was not real. He was one of those old school. No, it's okay. You know jiu-jitsu for 5 minutes. Go compete. He's like one of those like old school Brazilian dudes. He had this girl. She was doing it for like a month and a half, 2 months, and the IBJJF competition came around, and she decided she's going to compete. And she got caught in this weird, it wasn't quite a triangle, but it kind of had the markings of it. And her arm was being twisted this way. So basically it just twisted until it snapped. And I can remember watching that too, because I'm sitting here looking at it and I'm like, all right, this is like a girl. She's young. She's flexible. How flexible is she though? And I turned to the girl that was next to me and I was like, she should probably tap. And then like 5 seconds later, you just see, it was just crazy. You just see the give, just the immediate give, and you hear the snap. And it was just like, geez, that was insane.
Did she handle it well or was she screaming? Was anybody freaking out? I imagine that's not common.
I think the adrenaline, either adrenaline or shock hit, because like she didn't scream at all. It was just like snap, and then like everything just stopped, and she was like, oh, and she was like holding her arm, and they had to call in the the stretcher, and that was pretty crazy. I went to high school with that girl too. I sat next to her in one of my classes, so that was like extra weird. It was like, oh hey, nice to see you again. You're gonna love it here. It's gonna be great. Jiu-jitsu is so good and so fun, and it's safer than most arts. Oh,
lies.
Break your arm? Not a chance, doll. Like,
do white belts do leg locks in your gym?
No. Well, I mean, actually, a straight foot lock is a leg lock, but like, that's really the only thing we go for, because we're really big on gi jiu-jitsu. We have a little bit of no gi, but we're big on that gi jiu-jitsu IBJJF rule set, which I couldn't even tell you. Like, I'm not a big rules guy. My thing is, can you protect yourself? Yeah. I should be practicing leg locks more now, though. I should definitely be getting into that more myself. I gotta stop slacking on those. Why do you guys
in a street fight? Because I've heard the arguments online. You obviously know more than us about this, and I've seen people be like, "Yeah, if you're in a real street fight, though, bro, boxing is king because you can stay standing and back up." And then some jiu-jitsu guy will be like, "Yeah, you'll be struggling to punch me when you're wrapped up like a pretzel, bitch." And like, I get both of their sides as an ignorant non-fighter, but where do you weigh in on that?
I mean, I like striking more overall, but somebody mentioned something once. I saw it in a comment section. Look at boxing matches where like somebody throws a cheap shot and it devolves into a giant brawl. They're not boxing each other. They immediately shoot in for double leg takedowns, even though they don't know what those are. They're just immediately like, I want to take you to the ground, whether it's like because I want to beat the hell out of you, or if it's like, oh no, we got to stop this. The best way to pacify a single person, everybody always talks about like, what if there's multiple people? It's like, all right, fucking don't do this then.
Run.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The best way to pacify somebody is to take them down and hold them there, and you'd be surprised because like someone will be walking towards you. They're all high and mighty, and like you close distance and you just get underhooks on them. And like, they won't know what's happening. They'll just know that you know what's happening. and you'll just kind of feel them go from like that to like, because they're just like, fuck, there's no winning this. I'm just like, all right.
Yeah. When you first start grappling, you don't know how many gifts you're giving a skilled grappler, by just like not keeping your elbows in, not keeping this tight, not, giving them your back. Like, oh, I can't hit me now because I gave him my back. Like, what is this, Christmas? So anyway, yeah, if they get too close to a grappler, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the best response to any street brawl is either have a gun or be fast, because they don't ever seem to be one-on-one ever.
It seems I think both if you know how to pick somebody up and slam them on their head, that's infinitely more effective than it ever is in a gym or in a ring, because you're on asphalt. So that's probably a really good technique to have, or at least a good technique to know how to avoid, because every time I see it performed, it ends the same way. One person's very, very unconscious, and the other person's like having the field day on their face.
I saw a guy, he was experienced in prison fights, and they were like, how do they really go? And he said, one, they're a lot shorter than you think they are. And two, the slam is like the go-to technique.
That makes sense. Bunch of metal benches and concrete everywhere.
Right. People starting on this top bunk or something.
But I've also seen the people who, like, it's a big group fight and one person slams someone else, but all that does to the surrounding allies of the slammed guy is like, oh, this guy's head is at prime kicking level now. The guy who just slammed our buddy. And so I'm just going to boot him in the temple. Oh, now he's unconscious too. And then, of course, you get the rain of kicks. Like
again, if there's more than one, just run. I mean, run from one. Like, why are we fighting? How old are you?
My pride is on the line, Kyle.
Unless your mom and your girlfriend are there on the sidelines watching, going, "Get him, baby," and they're holding each other, then to get the fuck out of here. What are we doing?
No, he insulted my driving.
What like you're entering a street brawl against the greatest fighters in the world wouldn't agree to this shit. Like, they really wouldn't. They spend weeks preparing for one person that they know, they watch videos on, and you're like, I could take him.
Cowboy Cerrone and anyone named Diaz agrees to disagree.
Those people are only out of jail because of just like favoritism being shown in the judicial system, because they have both assaulted motherfuckers in the street and dropped them on video. Like, I don't know about all that, man. I don't want to get in a goddamn fight. I mean, it's
but I might have to. My cardio is not great.
You don't think you can get out of there in time?
I'm not
running. Actually, I'm like a dwarf, good over small, very, very short distances.
I heard
running is easier on cardio than fighting.
Ooh, good point.
I heard Hugh Lowry, the actor that plays House, was telling a story. He worked with on a movie where there were some lions or something, and the lion tamer was giving him some sage advice behind the scenes, and it was like, what do you do if the lion charges you? He's like, well, it's a very old lion. It's a very lazy lion, tell you. And before he's going to come out, we let him have sex. We get that really takes it out of them. Now they're happy.
So if I'm behaving sorely during the interview, you know why.
He's like, but what if the lion charges me? He's like, well, you take a step back, you reach behind you, and you grab a handful of shit, and you try to throw it directly into the lion's face. Like that, believe it or not, they hate that. They'll cower right away and run away. And he's like, well,
I hate that too.
Where do I get the shit? He's like, trust me, it'll be there.